Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the High Top Sports Network studios for another 2021-22 Winter Sports Season Preview. My name is Josh Schreckengoss. Today's preview is sponsored by Sprankles Neighborhood Market. Make sure to like, share, and follow Sprankles on Facebook too. #SaveOnMeat. Today, I am joined by Wes Shamokin, boys varsity basketball head coach Judd McCullough, here for this week's season preview. Coach, how's everything going so far in the offseason?
Going great, Josh. Thanks for asking.
For sure. Well, we got to go right to where the wound is the deepest. That District 6 championship game last season against Portage. You guys went into that game undefeated, unable to come up with a victory, and because of the COVID regulations last year, unable to qualify for a state playoff berth. How has it felt months later now, and how have you guys used that as inspiration?
I think we all look back at that season is special in so many ways, and I think we look at the positives more than that unfortunate night. Portage was the better team that night. I don't know if we played another 9 times, how many out of 10 total. I think we were pretty even. They played a lot of basketball together, very similar to us in the sense of great experience playing together and played a lot in the off season. I just think going into a big game like that, undefeated, had a little bit of it was tough, because it was looming over our head just a little bit. I would have liked to want to be undefeated, but a loss somewhere along the line so we could, motor through that kind of adversity and then be at that kind of game without the undefeated part weighing over us. Might have made it a little easier, but who knows? But I'm super proud of the effort we had last year. It was a great season. It was one of my special moments in my life as a person, really, and a dad and a coach. And it was just a great group of kids, and I'm excited about this year.
Yeah, that team from a year ago, some really great senior leadership on that squad. Your son, Jack, one of those guys, Justin Smolik, Isaac Olinger, Wyatt Lager, those guys not going to be here this year as graduated seniors, but you got a strong, talented core returning. Talk to me about your lineup 1 through 5 coming into this season.
Yeah, 1 through 5, 2 of them are going to be familiar names. Trevor Smolik is the reigning Leader Times Player of the Year and Indiana Gazette Player of the Year. So it's nice to have that coming back. So we're excited to have Trevor. Basically, his 4th year as a starter, or at least kind of 3.5 as a starter. He was more of our 6th guy his freshman year. But played like a starter. So this is a huge year for him. I give a lot of credit to Trevor in the last year or two for playing amongst our program in a sense of staying balanced and I think he could have been a little more selfish at times, and I give him a nod to being such a team player. Beau Swartz is another huge comeback player for us. He is also a 4-year starter. So you're bringing 2 starters that have played in your system for 4 years. That's a great start. Yes, we're going to miss all those guys, Eric and Jack and Isaac and Justin and Wyatt and Vince. But having those 2 coming back is really, really important.
Now, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Trevor because, as you mentioned just in that answer to my previous question, you kind of wanted him to be a little bit more selfish at times this year. Have you worked with him? Has your staff worked with him to maybe get a little bit more selfish there when you need a big bucket?
Yeah, I mean, our concept and our philosophy for years has been, team first and building a one-team atmosphere. But in amongst that team, there, are roles, and Trevor's role is definitely going to be, as it has been, as a main scorer and a main rebounder and one of the best players in District 6, if not the best. So I think that everybody is smart enough in our varsity rotation to know that the basketball has to get into his hands in opportune spots as much as we possibly can to have the best chance of winning basketball games.
I want to talk to you a little bit about Beau Swartz too. You mentioned him, 4-year starter, senior quarterback on the football team. And one thing I noticed about Beau during that football game that we broadcasted at Portage was that he's gotten bigger. He's gotten stronger. His arm strength, obviously, don't really need that in basketball, but just his overall physicality has improved. It looks like he's put on 10, 15 pounds of muscle. How do you plan to utilize that out of Beau at the point guard position?
Well, we're blessed with that this year for sure. I mean, outside of, and I think that this year's group even supersedes it, but we had a few years back with like Carson DeWitt and Tyler Sweeney and Ethan Livengood and Tyler Lightcap. We had some physical players. We had some big, strong kids on those teams. This group with obviously Trevor, he's 6'4", 6'5". He's put some weight on this offseason and has been working out. As you mentioned, Beau has gained not only just some height, but definitely some added muscle and strength as well. Lou is an absolute monster. He is fun to watch out there. So we are, I think, going to go from a more of a speed up and down, maybe like a fancy sports car type of group, to a more muscle car type of group, because we have a lot of power and a lot of strength. And I think that is obviously going to pay dividends for us inside on the glass, the physicality of being, taking it to other teams and enforcing our own will upon them. And so I'm excited to see that play out this year for sure, and the added strength that a lot of kids actually have put on. Not just those mentioned already, our whole group did a great job of getting in the weight room this off season and getting stronger and more physical, because that's one thing that every team looks to do.
I want to take it off the court for a while too, because you mentioned the team, getting stronger as a team, but also you guys take a lot of pride in the academic side of being a student athlete. And one of the things that you posted recently was all the guys on your team that have made the honor roll. And I think that also builds cohesiveness on the court whenever these teammates can look down the bench or look one way or the other and see that, hey, my teammate, he's pushing me on the court, but he's also pushing me in the classroom.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I appreciate you mentioning that, because that needs to be something we highlight more. And I'm sure a lot of coaches do as well. Our girls program and our boys programs have been very blessed with having a lot of kids that work their butt off in the classroom and outside of it. And so, that definitely helps on the court. It's something that will help them in life, and something we take great pride in, and we encourage, and we get excited about, and give them a lot of 2 claps or even 3 claps for their great effort in the classroom.
For sure. And as I said, that's something that coaches can take pride in, family members can take pride in, but most importantly, the kids are learning valuable life lessons to get the full experience of being a student athlete.
Yeah, no doubt. Student comes first in that student athlete, and really, family and community is also very high ranking in that too. So a lot of different, things we take pride in, definitely, in our sports programs.
Now back to the court, you mentioned kind of being more of a muscle car type team as opposed to last year, up and down the court fast, pulling threes in transition, stuff like that. And the engine of that muscle car could be Lou Swartz, as you mentioned, the sophomore, just a monster out there on the football field in the fall. How do you expect that to translate to the basketball court? Because he started to get some quality minutes toward the end of last season.
Yeah, I mean, him and Sean both were rotational pieces, so we bring them back into the equation. And they've played a lot of basketball through their years, so that they're experienced in that way. And so, yeah, Lou is going to be relied upon this year for very heavy workload. It's exciting to see, because and any other year in a lot of other teams, Sean and Lou, as very talented sophomores and freshmen, as Lou was last year, would have had more opportunities. And so it's those are going to be 2 stories, 2 kids to kind of watch this year finally get their chance to break through after standing behind a very talented group and work alongside of Trevor and Beau and see how that goes. But I expect big things out of them.
Yeah, as mentioned, lost a bunch of seniors, but a very talented core coming back. Who are some of the other younger guys that you're looking up to fill some maybe depth minutes or maybe compete for a starting job?
Well, one of the bright spots in the offseason is we got Owen Stover back into our program, and him recommitting to our program after having a very strong freshman and sophomore year. And you mentioned the football team already. They had a special season. Obviously, there's a great connection between Beau and Lou, and they had a storied, season this year as a combo, a quarterback, wide receiver. But obviously, Owen Stover did as well. And so we're very blessed to have those 3 that bring that excitement on the offensive end and the defensive end to the game of basketball as well. They're in school. They are also friends with our other players. But Owen Stover is going to be a main contributor this year. He's a great athlete. He's a smart kid. He's a hard-nosed kid. He's a defensive-minded kid. And so I expect him to be a great seamless fit into our program. Other notables, Nico Buffone is a junior, one of the main players on the baseball team that was so successful as well. Nico has put a lot of time in, and it's his time to kind of to get up there and shine and see what he can do too. He's been blocked by that star group of seniors that we had. So Nico's going to have a shot to see what he can do coming, maybe playing some JV and definitely getting a chance to get some looks in varsity. And a couple other names to mention: juniors, Devin Hatch Cousins, who's 6'3", 6'4" inside post player, and Braden Satoski, who's about a 6'1" 3-point shooting kid that is also a junior that's put a lot of time in and off the gym, and we expect a lot from those guys too.
One thing I wanted to ask you, Coach, last year, obviously a wacky season for everyone with the pandemic raging, games getting canceled, games getting postponed, late start to the season, all that stuff. How have you been able to develop consistency this offseason, knowing that you're probably not going to have the interruptions that you had during 2020-21?
Yeah, and unfortunately, we kind of have through the fall, and my golf season was even interrupted by COVID, and it's still something we have to watch in the schools and be very vigilant about. But we all hope and pray that this season is going to be smoother than some of the hiccups we saw last year. For instance, last year our schedule was hammered by COVID early on, and we missed some of the games that may have given us that extra toughness that may have factored into the Portage game. So this year we look to have a more regular season schedule that's more balanced and not just Heritage Conference focused. And we play Erie High this year. We play Chartiers Valley this year. So that's something I'm excited to see, a stronger out of conference schedule that should allow us to be battle tested more when we hit the playoffs than we were last year. So I'm looking forward to a more regular season without as many interruptions in the schedule of things.
Okay, Coach McCullough, I'm going to leave you with this one right here. It's a two-part question. Part number one, do you think you guys are going to have a target on your back because you were so successful a year ago? And part number two of that question, what are your ultimate goals for this season?
Yeah, Josh, I'll answer that second one first. And then we will, no doubt about it, in every sport that you see, a championship team coming back like we were in the Heritage Conference, especially, and even in District 6, we've had some successful seasons, not just one. So there's no doubt there will be a target on our back, and we accept that challenge, and we will be ready for that. To be fair to this group, they haven't played a lot of basketball. To answer that first question, our goals are for sure to win the Heritage Conference again and to win District 6. And at first, it's going to be a challenge because even though we have a Hemi in that muscle car, we haven't really been assembled yet. For the first time, these guys have played together for the first time. We haven't had a lot of time together in the off season. So I expect some growing pains for this 5, 6, 7 kids to be able to grow together and seamlessly kind of work together. So by, I would say, mid-January, late January, where you need to be peaking, we're going to be a dangerous team. But I think that early on in the season, inevitably, we're going to have some rough patches from time to time. That's something that we didn't have as much last year. I still think we're going to be very good, and each day we're going to go out there and obviously compete with a lot of confidence. But just looking at the big picture, it's going to take these guys some time, and I'm going to have to be patient, and they're going to have to be patient with the process. But if we are, and we can stay with that one team, all in kind of like philosophy that we push for, by the end of the year, we're going to be a very dangerous team and as good, if not better than even last year.
Well, we are certainly looking forward to covering you guys this year. Coach McCullough, thanks so much for joining me on another High Top Sports Network Winter Sports Season Preview, proudly sponsored by the fine folks at Sprankle's Neighborhood Market. Remember to follow Sprankles on Facebook, #SaveOnMe. Thanks so much, Coach McCullough. Looking forward to seeing you here very soon.
Thanks, Josh. You guys do a great job. We appreciate it.